Hi everyone, welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood as we continue to take a look at all of the Masters divisions. The Masters Online Qualifier is right around the corner, and today we focus on the 55 to 59-year-old division. We will start on the women's side of things, where we have two veterans who were on the podium last year at the Games who are going to try to hold off some talented challengers.
And that's one of the things that's unique to this Masters competition as opposed to the regular divisions for the men and women, is that not only do you have new athletes entering the fray from just discovering CrossFit, but you have athletes that are changing divisions due to age and age alone, whether they're aging up into a new division or, just getting to the back half of that division. So the landscape looks entirely different from year to year, and it makes for an exciting competition.
Yeah. And the landscape looks different both Masters Online Qualifier and at the Games. What these athletes prove they can do every year increases, so who knows what we'll see in the online qual and the Games. Might see double Murph or something.
Yeah, let's take a look back at how things shook out at the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games for this division. It was really a two-woman battle between Lynne Knapman and Susan Clarke, and Susan Clarke got the best of it. She had 656 total points, but only beat Lynne Knapman by 14. Clarke won 5 of the 7 events there, and throughout her career, Susan Clarke has been really nothing short of dominant.
Absolutely, she's manhandled this division. If you look back to last year, she wins the CrossFit Games, she won the Masters Qualifier, and she won the Open. You go 2 years ago to 2014, she was second in the Open, second in the Masters Qualifier, but then stepped up and won at the Games. In total, this year and the last two, there have been 39 events between the Open, the Masters Qualifier, and the Games. Of those 39, she's finished 38 of them inside the top 10. That is beyond consistent, and it really should be her division to lose this year.
Yeah, but then you have Lynne Knapman, who, despite the fact that Clarke was so dominant, still kept it close at the Games.
If you didn't know that Clarke won, you would think Knapman did. Here are Lynne Knapman's finishes from the 2015 Games. Second, third, second, first, fourth, and another third, and she did not win. That's how close the competition was. She was 14 points behind Susan, but she looks fantastic this year. Knapman is in second place in the Open, once again behind that pesky Susan Clarke.
Yeah.
And she's phenomenal. She's 56 years old, and here are some of her stats. A 240-pound back squat, 34 pull-ups, a 325 points on Fight Gone Bad. So gotta take her purse after a game of bingo, see how that goes.
Not me.
Yeah, we're going to end up on the bad end of that one. As far as the Open leaderboard is concerned, you heard Pat mention it's the same two on top. Susan Clarke got the best once again of Lynne Knapman. Clarke only amassing 11 total points, but right behind them in third is Mary Beth Pedromatis. That used to be Mary Beth Litsheim. And then in 10th, another woman that caught our eye, Donna Aramo. But let's talk about Mary Beth Pedromatis, who has had success in other divisions and now moves up to this one and looks to challenge for a spot on the podium.
Pedromatis. That's what we're going with. Okay,
yes.
The old Mary Beth Litsheim. Everyone knows I'm terrible with last names. Mary Beth, we love you. I hope we got that somewhat close. We didn't get to see her compete last year, but if you rewind the clock to 2014, she was the champion in the 50 to 54-year-old division. Right now, sitting in third place in the 55 to 59-year-old division for the Open. 55 years young, can pull 325 pounds off the ground for a deadlift. And if you've ever seen her compete or seen her in an interview, just boundless energy. So I'm once again looking forward to seeing her compete.
And Tommy, what was it about Donna Aramo that caught your eye?
Well, similar to Marcia Yeager, a woman I mentioned in the 60 Plus episode, I think she's just scratching the surface. She's only a year and a half into CrossFit, and she found it through her daughter, Christy Aramo, who happens to be in first place in the Central East in the Open so far. So fitness definitely runs in their family. But if you look at her background, I spoke with Christy a little bit about her mother. She said she was a professional triathlete. Mm-hmm. She has a sub 3-hour marathon. So if you're familiar with that metric, that is very, very impressive. And with that as a background, you kind of assume she knows how to suffer. But if you look at her best finish in the Open, it was in 16.5, where she was second worldwide. That proves she knows how to suffer. She gets some of the gymnastics skills, some of the barbell work. I think the sky's the limit for her.
And they were talking about a running marathon, not like a Netflix marathon.
Not the kind we
Yes, not a 3-hour.
Okay,
yes, now you got
it. Right, that puts a whole different paint job on it. Let's go over to the men's side of things, where the defending champ there is back as well. And speaking of dominance, Powell was just unbeatable at the Games last year. He won by 102 points over Steve Marino, who finished second. Then in fourth place, it's David Gantz. He's back again this year as well. He missed out on a spot on the podium by 22 points. But when you look at what Will Powell did in Carson, it's hard to not pencil him in on top of the podium right now.
Will Powell he looks the part. He looks physically unstoppable, like a superhero. You wouldn't think that he's in the 55 to 59-year-old division. He's the champ from last year, and he just beat up the field. Out of 7 events, 5 first-place finishes, and the other 2 second places. Oof. I mean, he just mopped it up. This year in the Open, he's sitting in first place in the division with just a third of the points of second-place Gantz. The guy looks like a jacked 27-year-old, not somebody in his division. So how you stop him, your guess is better than mine.
Well, David Gantz is a guy who's going to try and do that. What kind of chance does he have to maybe supplant Powell on the top of the podium?
It's a pretty good chance. If you take a look at the Open scores, outside of 16.4, where he took a 21st place finish, he was only a couple points behind Powell for the entirety of the Open. Take a look back to 2014, Gantz's first trip to the CrossFit Games. He takes dead last, and he even said it on his profile. There's no excuses. I was dead last. They were all just fitter and better than I was. And that's impressive from a guy who clearly doesn't make excuses, because he's a 35-year veteran of working as a brick and stonemason in Chicago, where you have those nasty winters and hot summers.
Honest work.
Yeah, a guy who knows how to take a lunchbox to work and put his head down and just grind it out. It paid off in 2015 with that hard work. He took third in the Open, second in the Masters Qualifier, goes on to miss the podium by just 1 spot and taking fourth. I think this year, with his approach and how he's improved so far, I think he's definitely one of the contenders to maybe even upset Powell.
Well, Powell and Gantz were 1 and 4 at the Games last year. They are first and second in the Open this year. Will Powell with just 13 total points to finish in first place, followed by Gantz with 36. A couple of new names we're going to talk about right now. Dwayne Sapp, he is in 5th. And then Andrew Hendel, who's in 9th. And if that name rings a bell, that's because Andrew Hendel has a pretty fit son.
Yeah, Spencer Hendel, just a multi-year Games athlete, who Andy has the pleasure of raising, but Andy's very fit in his own right. He's a former NFL player. He played for the NFL and the Miami Dolphins, also played in the USFL, so a very talented athlete. Did not compete in 2015. 2014, he was 35th in the Open, 70th in the Masters Qualifier, so this will be his first year kind of in the hunt for one of those CrossFit Games spots. But if you just have a snapshot of how much he's improved, in 14.5 he did the same workout that we did for 16.5, but he did it in 16.19. Fast forward 2 years, he ages up a division. He has to do that workout again. He does it in 11.51, so a considerable chunk off of that workout, and that looks like he set himself up nicely going into the next round.
And when you look at Dwayne Sapp, another person I mentioned in that leaderboard, he started off extremely well in the Open, tailed off a little bit though towards the end, but still someone who has a lot of talent.
And a great athlete with a really cool story. So right now, he took 13th last year at the Games, sitting in 5th place in the Open. But if we rewind the clock, he played a lot of sports, was very athletic as a younger man, but then life happened. He went to work every day, started smoking 3 packs of cigarettes, ballooned up to 235 pounds, right around the weight of my host of this program. Now, down to 176 pounds at 55 years old. He's clean and jerking 215 pounds, can do a 400-meter dash in a minute 23, so a huge lifestyle change. Put the Marlboros on the shelf, a lot of kale and lukewarm water, and now we're going to see him throw down.
It's
so
always
a
a compliment when someone says they ballooned up to basically your current weight. So thank you very much.
One athlete to another athlete.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's going to do it for us for today. We are going to continue to look at the rest of the Masters divisions throughout the coming days as we get set for the online qualifier. For Pat Sherwood and Tommy Marquez, I'm Tubby Sean Woodland. We'll see you guys next time.